I'd like to welcome you all to the December the 7th meeting. We'll be going in closed session first. Do I have a motion? We're going to closed session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And statewide, please.
You got a reason.
Okay. Pursuant to 143-318-11, to consult with the town attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the council, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to 143-318-11A6, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or condition of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee. I'd like to call this meeting back to order, coming in from our closed session. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, all of you that's tuning in for our December the 7th, 2020 meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. First up is our amendment and approval of the draft agenda. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Conflict of interest.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Does any member of council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regards to any item on the agenda? If so, please state at this time. Mr. Borman?
No.
Mr. Corbett?
No.
Mr. Phillips? Mr. Nern?
No.
Mrs. Harris?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on, the amendment and approval of the draft agenda. Does anyone have any questions or comments on anything?
No. No.
Everybody's good?
No.
All right. Moving on, let's see, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the draft agenda and the amendment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Action discussing resulting from closed session. I'll turn this over to our attorney, Mr. Grady Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. During closed session, the discussion concerning the East End emergency access litigation and claims surrounding it were discussed. Now, we've been working for the past several months on a resolution, and opposing counsel for Ms. Morales and I have reached an agreement that you have seen, and I would recommend what we're lacking right now to complete the terms of the agreement is a survey depicting the specific location of the access easement, the emergency access easement, and also a site plan application by Ms. Morales for her private residential home. So in speaking with opposing counsel for Ms. Morales and the town, with me speaking with him, I would recommend that the town approve the parties' settlement agreement and mutual release of all claims and the deed of easement agreement contingent upon the survey that the town's getting for the CAMA application, as well as Ms. Morales submitting an appropriate site plan application consistent with the town's ordinances. And once we have those in place, then it can be effectuated. So the motion should be approval of settlement agreement and mutual release of all claims with Ann Morales and the deed of easement agreement concerning Ms. Morales, as well as the adjacent property owners that I refer to as kind of the Lot 41 property owners, contingent upon an acceptable survey of the easement location, as well as Ms. Morales submitting a site plan application in conformity with the town's ordinances.
With all that being said, do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the motion as proposed by our attorney.
All right, do I have any discussion? All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go ahead, Mr. Richardson.
I believe that was the only
only thing.
action or discussion resulting from closed session.
All right. Moving on, our general counsel discussion. Does anyone have anything?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank Chief Hassenmeyer for the work he did getting the grant to buy the AED. Just great job. Didn't cost us a penny.
Anyone else?
No.
Everybody's good?
Nope.
All right. Public comments on agenda items. I think we have someone that would like to speak in the back, please.
Tom Vincennes, 422 36th Street in Sunset Beach, and speaking as chairman of the Sunset Beach Planning Board. While I understand and appreciate the reasons for the request, I would ask council to give serious thought before approving tonight's request that the planning board meet only once a month during the first half of 2021. If you view YouTube from our meeting last Thursday, December 3rd, you'll see I initiated some discussion on this very subject. The projects officially given to the planning board on September 23rd include several aimed at managing the significant amount of development currently taking place in town. These projects will require a great amount of work and time and require that we first develop a well-organized plan with specific priorities and measurable milestones. These priorities, I believe, need to reflect both urgency and time to accomplish. Hopefully, the plan will include several steps which could be implemented quickly. With West McLeod, we have a unique opportunity. Wes has guided us through the Gateway Corridor Project, guided us through the 2017 Land Use Plan, and has served as interim planning director on 2 occasions. His knowledge of the town, its UDO and zoning, its land use plan, and the likes and dislikes of the town people would be of tremendous value if he could be retained to work with Chad in developing this plan. We also discussed last week the planning board meeting schedule. We have failed in recent years to hold the 2 meetings scheduled to be held every month. The reasons are understandable. They put a good deal of burden on the planning department. It is essential, however, that we meet twice monthly to stay on top of both the ongoing needs, such as site plan reviews, and execute the plan developed to effectively manage town growth. I would ask then that you not approve the request to modify the planning board schedule, but rather discuss funding to provide the support that will be required to accomplish the assignments you have given to the planning department and planning board. Recognize that failure to do so will result in significant delays in completing these assignments. Also consider the urgency of managing growth and how many development projects may come before us in coming months. I'm told we could be seeing 4 in the January-February timeframe alone. But thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? There's no one else in the back, so no one else here. All right, moving on now to our consent agenda. We got the Fire Department October 2020 report, the Buildings Inspection Department October 2020 report, Stormwater Department October 2020 report, Public Works Department October 2020 report, Police Department October 2024 report, Finance Department October 2020 report, the November the 2nd, 2021 regular meeting minutes, and the November 17th, 2020 second regular meeting minutes. Do I have any discussion, any changes, or anything that needs to be asked about this?
I have one question
Go ahead, Mr. Knight.
for John Michaud. As I'm looking at this list on page 2,
Yes, sir.
there are, I didn't even count these, a lot of projects here, and I count, well, 4 with no status, 8 completed, 4 under contract, and 1 is having the engineering work done. This can't be all we have, is it?
It's all we have. Well,
As of now?
there's some other minor projects that aren't on that list there that we're working on, but that is what we have on our plate right now, yes. And we just finished 2 projects in the last couple days, and started a new one Monday, or today, I should say.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else have any questions?
I have a
Go ahead, sir.
couple of questions for, actually, it's building inspecting and question. What are CEUs? Is that tied into some type of educational program? It says staff is in the process of obtaining the required CEUs for the upcoming 2021.
Yes, sir. That's continuing education.
Okay. I got educated there. Police Department report. You summarize everything ending with units of activity with a number of 400 and something. Yeah, 478, which is more than the incident reports. Just for our edification, what are units of activity?
So anytime that an officer does something that does not require a report, they'll do a log entry. So if there's a tree branch in the middle of the road, I'm not going to come back and type a narrative on me getting out of the car and moving that, but I will enter it into RMS as a unit of activity. So in the month of October, as a whole, including what you see here in front of you, there were 478 instances where an officer did something.
Some type of
And it
action.
was documented. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I had one more.
Go ahead.
In the finance report, miscellaneous revenue. What falls into miscellaneous revenue? And we actually seem to be doing good. We projected 110,000. We're already up to 115,000. It's under your revenues. Third line from the bottom.
I don't have the breakdown with me of it, but I mean, it's anything that's not going to fall into these categories. I do know that a big chunk of it is prior year storms. We got a check from Matthew, our final check from
Like
Matthew.
FEMA money coming in?
Yeah.
No.
So I do know that that was one of them, and there was there a Florence? I think there was a Florence check that came in as well. So the state processed those, so we got some storm money. It's things like sale of surplus property would be in there. It's outside the realm of what else is in here. I can send you a list of basically what that is.
That's close enough. That gives
Okay.
that puts me in the ballpark of what we're talking about. Thank you. That's it.
Nothing else? Do I have a motion that we approve this consent agenda?
So moved.
David, second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to our presentation, the 2019-2020 audit report, Mr. Lee Grissom. Thank you, sir. You have the front, and all the staff that doesn't have anything on here is welcome to go. We appreciate y'all.
I have a question. Which one are you going to be working off of?
The graphs.
The easy one?
Yes, sir.
The short one. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
All right. Again, my name's Lee Grissom. I'm a partner at S. Preston Douglas and Associates. I'll try to leave the mask on. This is the first time I've presented with the mask on, so bear with me. At least you can not see my face. That's good. Maybe it's a good thing. Firm's been around 79 years. Currently audit 30 municipal units, or half of them municipalities, and then 2 other beach towns. We also audit Oak Island, Emerald Isle, and Surf City, in addition to town of Sunset Beach. For this fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020 audit, we began the week of September 7th. And once again, we were able to finish the audit well ahead of deadline, even during the pandemic, which give a lot of credit to the staff and your finance officer, as usual. In the municipal arena, particularly this size, any client with less than 10 journal entries, and we have to come in there and in some cases we have to make 30 journal entries, and you can see all kinds of stuff you can imagine. But town of Sunset Beach, we had less than 5 journal entries during the course of this audit. So again, anything less than 10 is really terrific. So to me, it says you can rely on the financial information on a monthly basis. And as you'll see, we'll go through these trends. I did some 10-year trend information. Really, the last 5 fiscal years have been really strong for the town of Sunset Beach. So presentations like this, they're so much positive. It's kind of boring in some way, just to keep giving compliments to the finance staff. But the good thing is, it's a pleasure to work with the town each year. So for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020, we issued a clean audit report. So that's an unmodified opinion. That's our highest level of assurance. We had no internal control findings. Some more housekeeping related to the audit. We did not encounter any significant difficulties. There were no new accounting policies. We did not identify any transactions that lacked authoritative guidance, and we did not have any disagreements with management. Any questions at this point? So let's go to the graphs. Okay, again, this is 10-year financial information. The first 6 pages is 10-year trends, and then the last 2 are just a couple of pie charts that we'll go through. For the first one, it's analysis of fund balance for your governmental funds. This is your general fund and dredging fund, primarily. 85% of this is general fund. What I want to really show you here, the blue columns across the years, that's your total fund balance, and the red is the restricted portion. And as you can see, from 2016 on, you see the increase, just a steady increase. I mean, that's what you want to see as the auditor, and I would imagine that, administration and board would like to see that as well, positive trends in fund balance. So let's go to the next one, page 2. Same thing with cash, very similar arc. Cash over the from 2016 to 2020, increased by roughly 50%, or $3.6 million. Again, a tremendous trend from our standpoint to see. And you don't see this from beach to beach, or even municipality to municipality, to see such a healthy trend. So let's go to page 3. This is this is the number of months in reserve general fund. This is the one the local government commission always is looking at. So when this is essentially how many months you have in unassigned fund balance relative to expenditures. This one has kind of, over the last several years, bounced around between 10 to 12 months in reserve. It's very similar to personal finance. Anything, you recommend 3 to 6 months ideally to have. The local government commission wants to see 2 months. They'll ask if anything's below 2. So the town of Sunset Beach for this audit's at just under 12 months. So it's pretty strong reserve. Let's go to the next one. Other than the general fund, this is the other large governmental fund at the town. So I broke that out in a separate graph. Since 2017, this is your dredging project fund. Just wanted to show that in graph form. Let's go to the next one. Long-term debt over the last 10 fiscal years. This one was interesting to me. Going all the way back to 2011, you had $1.4 million. And then, really going to 2014 onward has been pretty minimal amount of debt that the town's used. I mean, looking at 2015 and 16, there was no installment debt. And then in fiscal year 20, we're at $307,000. Let's go to page 6. This is property tax collection percentage. Nothing much to see here. Pretty steady, right at state average, 98, 99%. So it's good, but it's right on par with the rest of the state. Last 2, these are the pie charts. This is just a breakdown of general fund revenues on page 7 and a breakdown of general fund expenditures on page 8, just to see where the money is going in percentage and the way it's allocated. All right. Is there any questions? Anyone have any questions?
I do. Okay. First off, just to correct you, we do like to hear continued comments and praise for our staff, particularly our financial department. So you can continue to do that. Would you provide us a 1 or 2 word overview of what is the state of our finances?
1 or 2 word. I would use the word conservative from what I see. I would use the word. That's the word that comes to mind when I look at all the finances.
That's the philosophy of it, but the state of finances, excellent.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Everybody hear that? Okay, thank you.
I already knew it.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Grissom?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
This book here, page 8, it talks about debt. The increase of $753,000 in the total OPEB liability. Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, and Terry gave me a heads up on that question as well, or at least part of it. And there's confusing deferred outflows and inflows too. I don't know if you've noticed that on the balance sheet.
I asked that question.
But what that is, and I was like, oh no, not that question. What that is an actuarial determined number. So there's a report that we get, and it gives us what the liabilities are, and the outflows and the inflows, and we put that. I don't know if you're familiar with actuary reports. No. They just input all kinds of numbers. So if you have a health insurance plan, and so you say how long are the people that we're covering, when are they going to retire, what's their how long are they going to live? What's the interest rates for the plan assets? There's all this stuff. So we just essentially we take that stuff and we put it on the report on the balance sheet. That's how that works. But it does represent a liability to the town, ultimately.
What is OPED?
And let me show you.
B.
It's the retirement fund, basically. It's basically the retirement fund.
Okay, different than the retiree health benefit fund and the local government employee retirement system?
It's just a different report.
Different pot of money?
Well, it's not like a pot of money. It's like
You need a microphone.
It would be the liability above the pot of money set aside for it. That would be what it. That's the gist of it. And the footnotes. There's for example, on page 38 of the footnotes. I mean, there's pages and pages. I mean, 12 years ago, this stuff didn't even exist on governmental statements. It's really I guess it just depends on your point of view whether it's even necessary, honestly. But
So what I was actually looking at is what is the acronym? What are the? I couldn't find it in the report.
it's
And if you don't have it at the top of your head,
it's other post-employment benefits.
other post-employment benefits. Thank you.
So it's not actual debt, it's anticipated or possible debt.
Correct.
Okay.
Any more questions for Mr. Grissom?
Mr. Mayor, your mic's muted.
Any more questions for Mr. Grissom?
Not for me.
If not, I appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you
All right.
taking time
Thanks.
and
Yes,
for your
have a good evening.
reports.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our town administrator report, our assistant director of administration, Mrs. Lisa Anglin.
Thank you, Mayor.
Your time. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a lot for you this evening. First of all, please join me in welcoming Chad Stradomsky, who has joined our team as the planning director. Chad hit the ground running last Thursday with, in his first 30 minutes of employment, he was sitting in his first planning board meeting. So he's getting acclimated to the town, and he will be contacting each of you to sit down individually and meet with you all.
Chad, if you'd like to step up here and pull your mask down where the citizens can see you, so when you're out and about in our town, they'll know who you are. That would probably be appreciated.
Maybe turn around and say hi to
See
the
right there,
camera
the
for a
camera
minute.
there? That way when they see you at our grocery stores and our stores and our restaurants, they'll know who you are.
Okay.
Mayor, board, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to working with every one of you. As I talked to Mayor Phillips and Councilman Nern earlier today. It's like my door's always open. If y'all have any questions about anything, what I can do to help serve y'all in this town and this great community, please let me know. Please beat down my door, ring my phone. Just let me know anything I can do to help y'all.
Could you
Thank you.
give us a brief sort of history sketch where you came from?
Yes, sir. I got started in local government probably about 6 or 7 years ago, for the town of Oak Island, as in their tax department. Moved over to building, planning, and zoning with them for 3 years. Made my way up to the town of Burgall, worked in zoning and planning there, and then eventually spent almost the last year and a half with Pender County as one of their current planners there, and handling all the, we split our county up into 5 different zones based on commissioners' districts, and I had the northern end of Hampstead, which is the busier area, the middle section of Rocky Point, who's getting ready to blow up tremendously. Before I left there, I was working on a master development plan of 750 new homes to be brought in there, in an area that's going to merge 133 and 117 and 133 or 130 together. It's going to create a nice little community through there. And then the Commerce Park, which is their industrial park off of 421. So I handled all that, plus all their signs for the whole entire county, and assisted with code enforcement, because we were down to 1 code enforcement officer for the county, helping out with that as need be. So
Sounds like all those skills and experiences will be put to good use.
Yes, sir.
In a short period of time.
Yes, sir.
Well, welcome.
I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Anyone else have anything?
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Glad you're on our team. Moving on to old business, or go ahead,
want me
Mr.
to finish?
Administrator, if you got anything else. Go ahead, ma'am.
As you can tell, Chad has a wealth of knowledge that he brings to the town, and we're excited to have him on our team. I will echo Commissioner Nern's kudos to Chief Hassemeyer and his team on the fire department for being awarded the AED from the Firehouse Subs Grant Foundation. That AED comes to the town at no cost. So that's a great thing for our town. I'd also like to echo Lee Grissom's remarks with kudos to Tara Drop for her organization and management of her department and the safekeeping of the town's money. She's doing an awesome job. Police department. Police department's collecting unexpired boxes and or cans of food to distribute for holiday meals to those in need. I point out unexpired food because you would be surprised at the amount of unexpired food that we have received. So please, we welcome all donations, but please make sure that your cans or boxes have not reached their expiration date. The department is also collecting gift cards that will be used to purchase perishables as we get closer to the holiday seasons, such as meats, vegetables, and breads. And then they will partner with a local church to donate this food to be distributed to, our goal is 50 families to help with the holiday meals. Hurricane Isis.
Is there a drop-off point?
There is a drop-off point. It is in the town hall's main lobby vestibule. That outside door remains open. The inside door remains locked. So you are more than welcome to come up, pull on the door handle. It'll let you in, and there's a bin there for you to place.
Does that include for the gift cards?
Yes. And if you're not comfortable with dropping, we're here. So just give us a call and we'll be glad to come out and take the gift card from you, or have an officer come out and take it from you. I'd also like to say a big thank you to Rick Gimble, who is a Sunset Beach volunteer fireman who has been instrumental with helping Dustin and I and Tara get our FEMA reimbursement submittal for Hurricane Isis. So that was actually submitted at the end of last week, and we have another progress meeting with FEMA tomorrow morning. We are accepting cabana vendor applications for the 2021 season. The deadline to apply is December the 15th, At this time, we've received 6 applications requesting 13 of the 15 Cabana packages available. So I have 2 left. Key fob system for all the doors has been installed and staff is loving them. As we get older, we find it difficult to remember all the codes to all these doors at the rapid rate they change. The hand sanitizer stations are being delivered this week. Dustin will be putting the new bathroom unit out at the gazebo before the end of this week. He's got to do some modifications to the deck, but hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday, that will be installed. And it is brand new. So please stop by if you get a moment and check it out. It's really nice. Great investment for the town. Robert Neal will be attending the December 15th meeting to provide council with an update on the dredging project and to answer the questions that have been compiled over the several months, years that the citizens have asked. Mayor Pro Tem Corbett has compiled that list and provided it to both Robert and I, and we are working on gathering those answers as best we can now. Last thing I have is just a reminder that if you are signed up to receive emails and alerts from the town info at sunsetbeachnc.gov, I have updated that system, and you will need to re-sign up. Do that by either clicking on the link that was provided in the email, or you can go to the homepage, bottom left-hand corner, sign up again. You will receive an email prompting you to validate your email address. This is the system that's getting rid of a tremendous amount of bogus email addresses that was in our system. And it also makes sure that anybody who's receiving emails truly wants to be receiving them. I've got about 1,500 that have re-signed up. I was right at 2,500 when we made this change. So I'm missing about 1,000. So if you could, anybody listening needs help, just give me a call and I'll help you walk through the process. And if you all see anybody who isn't hearing us, if you could encourage them to sign up, that would be great. And that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Anyone in council have any questions?
Nope.
No. Nope.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Moving on to old business. First up is our ABC Board Appointments Discussion Action. During the November 17th appointment of Herb Tinger, the council didn't specify that Mr. Tinger is to remain as the ABC Board Chairman. Council will also to hold a discussion regarding the board appointment for the term expiring in January of 2021. In regards to Mr. Tinger, does anyone have any discussion on that? Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Herb Tinger as the ABC Board Chairman with the term expiration date of October 2023.
Second.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Second part of this, council to hold the discussion regarding the board appointment for the term expiring in January 2021. Go ahead, Attorney Richardson. Sorry about that.
That's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you have in your packet tonight the minutes that have been approved on page 20. Well, the one I'm talking about is, it's my understanding that there was a discussion had in the November 17th meeting concerning a vacancy on the ABC board, and that Katie Bordeaux was the subject of, or she was one of several. The board had made a resolution seeking to approve her appointment to the ABC board. As I understand it, Ms. Bordeaux has not been sworn in, and that office is still vacant as of tonight. The term doesn't even begin until January, and it's my further understanding that information has been brought to the board's attention after the November meeting, and that the board may have some desire to revisit that decision that was made with respect to Ms. Bordeaux. To the extent the board wishes to revisit that decision, I think the board would be appropriate. It would be appropriate for the board to make a motion to revisit or reconsider the application by Ms. Bordeaux, hold a discussion and decide whether council wishes to continue with the appointment of Ms. Bordeaux or whether you wish to vacate that decision for whatever reason and move forward from there.
Okay, with that being said, with the council on this situation, does anyone have any discussion, first of all?
I think we should make a motion to reconsider the appointment for this position on the ABC board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion in regards to it? All right,
I think, well,
go ahead, sir.
there should be at least a little bit of discussion, and I think in the time frame between the interviews and this meeting, information has become available that leads us to think that it's in the best interest of the town not to appoint Ms. Bordeaux.
So with that being said, the motion is to reconsider this appointment. And we've got a motion, we've got a second. So unless there's any more discussion,
Well, you've had.
I'd like to amend it.
So, so you've opened it for discussion. Is there any more discussion on Ms. Bordeaux and the town's consideration of her application before you go to the next step of making a motion to do anything with respect to Ms. Bordeaux's application? Any more
have anything
discussion?
else? Any more discussion?
So the next, if council wishes to make a motion to rescind and not appoint Ms. Bordeaux for the position, that would be one motion. Depending on the outcome of that motion, if the council then makes a motion to appoint someone else that applied for the position, that would be the next step. And it would be, that motion, if approved, would be contingent upon the applicant that's going to fill the role accepting it. And if not, Madam Administrator and Town Manager would republicize the position.
Okay. So in regards to Ms. Bordeaux, that was the motion first about rescinding. And we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Has there been a motion to set aside the prior decision to appoint Ms. Bordeaux? Is there a motion to set aside and revoke that appointment?
I'd like to make a motion to set aside that prior appointment.
For cause, based on the information you've received? Well, just leave it the way you've got it, because the position I have is that Ms. Bordeaux has not been sworn in, she's not been appointed officially, and the position is not filled. So your motion is to set aside the prior decision to appoint her in the January term.
Correct.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And then on to the second part about reaching out to the person that was brought in and went through the thing, to reach out to him and see if he is, or her, whatever it is, if they consider being a part of it. And if not, then we would be looking at probably having to republish or re-advertise to try to find the position. Do I have some discussion on that? Go ahead, sir.
I would like to make a motion to appoint the other candidate that we had interviewed, Roy Condiff, for the ABC board. And if he is still willing to accept, and if he is not willing to accept, to instruct the assistant town administrator to re-advertise the position.
Second.
Do I have any discussion on that? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There is none. Thank you, Mr. Grady.
You're welcome. Is there?
Grady, unless there's anything else that needs to be brought, I think we can release the attorney and let him go. Is that right? Nothing else, Lauren?
All right.
Thank you, sir, for
Thank
your
you.
time. We appreciate your service for us. Yes, sir.
Hopefully we don't see you until next year.
Yeah, happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Next up, our budget amendment, the land purchase and parking design. Mrs. Tara Drop, our finance director, this is yours.
Okay, so the budget amendment that you have in front of you is to basically housekeeping. It's for the purchase of the land out by Fire Station 2 and for the design and all of that for this lot next door. There's things that you previously approved to move forward with. This is just the budget amendment for the funding. So I just need a motion or just in discussion.
Does anyone have any discussion or questions in regard to this?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendment for the purchase of land near Fire Station 2 and for the engineering services for a parking lot adjacent to Town Hall.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And I don't think there's any more discussion because you had that chance. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There is none. Thank you, Mrs. Drop. You can go home for tonight. We appreciate everything you do for our town. Next up, Ms. England, this will be for you, and it is the revised 2021 annual calendar revision request. You now have the floor.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, I was hung up with the attorney. Who
Understand.
made the motion for Tara's budget amendment? And
John.
who seconded?
I did.
John made the motion. Jamie made the second. All was in favor, no nays.
Thank you. Sorry
Thank you.
about that.
Sorry for the confusion.
Okay. In conversations with Wes McLeod, who is serving as our interim planner until last Thursday, and will continue to work with Chad and the town. However, Wes is not available to this town for any more than the hour and a half that he is designated for the planning board. Mostly because he works with multiple municipalities. And the 160D that is coming through all the municipalities right now is all coming through at the same time. So he is unable to dedicate a lot of time for the planning board. In addition, Chad is also responsible for the TRC committee, the ERC committee, and his daily duties to review any and all plans that come into the town, regardless if it's a 200 unit subdivision or if it's a single family dwelling. That takes a lot of time. In addition, he's a one-person department. So with that, we are respectfully requesting that the planning board be reduced to one meeting a month for the first 6 months of the year to allow Chad to get control of his department, all of the subdivisions that are coming through, in addition to all of the single-family homes, and to allow him to get to know his other boards as much as he will need to know the planning board. We are not minimizing the work that the planning board does or the amount of work that they have on their agenda. We are very cognizant of the agenda items that they have and have discussed ways to move those things along through those planning boards with them still being one meeting a month. Meaning, before a submittal is sent to the planning board, the staff, including Chad and the TRC committee, which is made up of all of the department heads, will have reviewed every piece of paper coming through on every submittal to ensure that all of the UDO and general code rules and regulations have been applied and have been accounted for on all of those plans. So in the past, where the planning board would have reviewed one set of plans through several meetings, moving forward, they will review that set of plans once, maybe twice, knowing that when the plans get to their desk, they are 100% in compliance with the UDO. In addition, if something comes up in the meantime between the meeting of the first of the month and when they meet again the next month, they have the ability to call a special meeting just like you do. That can be noticed. They can meet on that particular item and then move on. And that wouldn't be a full agenda. That would be a one specific topic. So it wouldn't take as much as a normal 2 or 3, 4 hour planning board meeting. So, Chad, do you have anything to offer other than? So that's basically our request. If you would allow us to let Chad get his feet on the ground, let him become comfortable with his other board members in addition to the planning board. And then we'll come back to you. I mean, if everything goes gangbusters and it's all great, and in 2 months, he's got everything under his belt and he's ready to move back, awesome. We'll bring it back to you.
Mr. Mayor.
But that's
Yes,
our
go ahead.
request.
You presented that very well, Lisa. My biggest concern about having one meeting, I want to make sure that any possible zoning changes we might want to make doesn't get swept under the rug. That's my only concern.
I would kind of echo those concerns. What came up at the planning board meeting, I did watch the YouTube, I confess, and planning board chairman's comments today, and the guidance that we have provided from the council to the planning board, is that one of our major concerns is with the rapid development that's taking place in Sunset Beach and in the ETJs around us, is a need to take a serious look at the zoning requirements. Particularly, I think it's the MR3 issue. In the planning board meeting, Wes mentioned that you don't necessarily have to go through and rezone everything, which is a very long, difficult, bureaucratic process, but you can do text amendments. But it still takes some work to do text amendments, particularly if you're looking at the minimum size of lots that go into residences that can be built inside an area. I don't know all the details, but I share the concern that this very key problem that we established a month or two ago as a real priority will get lost if we go into just twice a month meetings. And it would be nice, and I would be willing to recommend that the town would be willing to tempt Wes with a little bit more money if he could focus in on that particular aspect and give Chad assistance on that, to look at revisions to text in the MR3 areas, and with that sort of help lay out a plan for the future for what we need to do. That's the first point to go through there. I think we can't afford to drop that completely at this point in time, is my view. The second one, though, is I understand the argument for one meeting a month, but I just don't like the idea of saying, well, we're going to cancel all of them out for 6 months, the second meeting for 6 months, And if the situation clears, we'll go ahead and fill them back in, because the tendency is going to be to use those whole 6 months. I understand the arguments, and I fully expect us to completely bury Chad, but I would like to go like 3 months for single meetings, and then plan to go back on and work very hard to be able to go back on 2 meetings a month. Sort of a bit of a compromise there.
We can guarantee you that we have heard the council and the planning board very vocally on the MR3 district, and that is a top focus. If you did listen to the planning board meeting, you heard in there where Wes informed the planning board that rezoning laws have changed, and they are now much stricter than they were, to the point that you have to have the property owner's written permission to rezone their property. So we feel that it is going to be a meet your objective quicker to come at this problem with text amendments, which we are already in the process of working on and looking at, and do not plan to delay. In fact, we plan to move those through the planning board quickly so they can move through the town council quickly. Given there is still a 90-day window because of a clause that is in the planning board, the UDO Article 3 or 4, which basically requires that the planning board has to advertise that they are going to take action. That is an unnecessary burden that this planning board, not specifically this planning board, but the planning board has placed on themselves. General statute does not require the planning board to hold a public hearing or to advertise that they are going to be taking legal action. Just like this board, the planning board may take legal action at any meeting where they have been duly noticed. Your annual calendar notices every single one of those meetings. So we are well aware of what you all are asking to be done, and we are moving that through quickly. I don't think you can throw enough money at Wes to make him ignore the other towns that he is obligated to assist. Some of those towns are a lot smaller than we are and require a lot more participation by him.
So are you comfortable that we can do this expeditiously without Wes? And it probably includes changing the planning board, the UDO, to get rid of that public hearing aspect too.
Correct. And that
we ought to discuss whether we agree that that's a good thing.
That is a text amendment that we can take to them in January to remove that clause. Unfortunately, since it still sits there, that would delay that action coming to you all until March, because they would meet in February and take the action on that. So as quickly as March, we can have that clause removed, which will expedite things coming from the planning board monthly to the town council, instead of having a 60-day delay. Is all that right? Absolutely.
Ms. Anglin, Mayor, Board, thank you again. I've kind of hit the ground running on this probably, 3 weeks ago? I was in here about a Wednesday for about 6 hours, but while I was still employed with Pender County.
We got Chad to come visit early, so we could start
to not only
piling on
fill out
him.
my paperwork, but also kind of get us started on where we were going with this. Probably about a couple days before that, I had a talk with Alan Serkin, who was the Cape Fear Council of Government's director. He asked me when I was starting and congratulated me on this opportunity. But one of the things we also talked about was, one of the things that's always kind of been when I start new places, what does the UDO look like? Because that is our guidance and our law, how we operate on a day-to-day function, and what I can allow and what I can't allow for these wonderful citizens of Sunset Beach is potentially text amendments where it sits, rewrites, Band-Aids, stuff like that, where it currently sits. And Wes has a good working knowledge of that document, because not only has he been the interim here for a couple years within the past 5 years, but also the past, 60 days since former planning staff resigned and went on. So talking with that, I can echo Ms. Anglin and speaking to Wes and Mr. Sirkin, is that in the next year and a half, there's going to be a significant gap to where Wes and Mr. Sirkin is going to be tied up with helping out other places, because 160D is a 2021 mandate. And not only with the 160D update comes with, you have to have a comp plan or a future land use plan, or if you're a CAMA land, you have to have a CAMA land use plan to go along with that. So there are towns out there that are not only working with 160D update, getting that in there, that language into their UDO, they're also having to do a full-blown CAMA land use plan, comp plan, future land use plan. Those things are all one and the same, depending on where they're at. So I have already spoken to Lisa a couple times about this, and Wes, and look forward to working with Wes on how we can look at the MR3 district, the ETJ, because there's some numbers that I've been told, I can't verify that, with density and commercial use or multi-family use in those areas, and along the golf course holes, that I think is 3 major concerns that have been brought up with the planning board chair and echoed by y'all as well. So there are things in there that I plan on implementing. I think one of the text amendments, there's probably, I ordered a whiteboard today, so all this is going on there as soon as I get it in, but there's about 4 things that's going to come down the pipeline potentially for January's planning board meeting. So we're getting pretty booked on that. February is going to give me a great option to really hit this ground running with some potential text amendments. First one is, I've never worked in a municipality or local government where they've had to advertise for actions. It's always been an advisory board to the council or the commissioners where they are able to make motions, approval or denial, to bring to y'all for final approval. I've also worked in every municipality in my 7 years of doing this to working with 1 meeting a month. And some of those meetings, you stack the agenda where they get to the point where you're here from 9 a.m. till 1 o'clock. I've been in some 4 or 5 hour planning board meetings, but nothing gets left off. And I do have a list that staff has provided me from the planning board, and I think echoed by a few members of this board, if not all members of this board, of things y'all want to see done. Those are significant projects for this town. To accomplish all of those, you're probably looking at 6 months to a year to get every one of those done. But I promise you, none of them have gone unnoticed and will not be swept up under the rug by moving to 1 planning board meeting a month. I would actually love to go to just 1 planning board meeting a month moving forward for the duration, and not just for 6 months.
And I will add, since the last planning director left and I was charged with putting this planning board packet together, the agenda items discussion came up between myself, Chairman Vincent, and Member LeBruno. And I went and asked Cindy for the list and was provided with a list after the fact that the agenda packet had gone out. But what I did for them with the directives that you had given, I did make them a disposition of directives, just like your package, which is the last package, the last page of your package every month. And they will be instrumenting that same document. That's where nothing will get left. That's where nothing will get lost, because at the end of every meeting, they will be taking items, placing items, putting dates with items, assigning people to those items, just like you all utilize that document. And I think moving forward, now that they have that living, breathing document, that they'll go into the assurance that all of the agenda items are being captured on this list. And it's also capturing the person that is responsible for doing the research and providing the documentation, just like you all do. instead of looking to staff to do the research and provide you the documentation, because we don't have the manpower to be able to provide everything that you all want to look at. I think this piece alone will be very instrumental in making their one meeting a month worthwhile and productive, and will hold their feet to the fire to produce what they want looked at, instead of looking to us to produce everything for them.
The other thing that I did on my first day was set a meeting down last Friday with the planning board chair, hopefully to continue those meetings at least once a month to talk to him about early enough to where we can set what next month or the next month after that planning board agenda, what he wants it to look like. And hopefully we'll continue to be able to have that dialogue with him on what he wants to see happen and get accomplished through those meetings as well. So,
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
So what I was going to say was that 6 months seems to be a pretty long honeymoon period where you're getting yourself used to things, meeting the various boards. But now I hear you saying that you'd like to go with a single meeting continually, and I have a bit of a problem with the disconnect between what we heard from the chairman here saying that he wanted to see the 2 meetings a month continue, while you're saying, no, we don't need that many. So
this is
so
the
I'm
first time.
struggling with
This
that.
is the first time I've vocalized that. You know, just being in my first 3 days, just listening, just standing back. But if I had my wish, I'd be lying if I did not want to just continue going to one planning board meeting a month.
So how do we ensure that we don't have things left behind that we really consider important, but make the most efficient use of your time and everyone else's time?
That would be, you know, like I said, if there's stuff that needs to be done, bring it to my attention. I'm pretty fully aware of the things that want to be implemented. I took the time to watch every planning board meeting for the past year going into this, and about the last 4 council meetings going into that. I have an open door policy, making sure nothing gets swept under the rug, making sure every T is crossed, every I is dotted.
And their list of future agenda items is going to ensure that not only what you all want them looking at, but what they want to be looking at is captured on this document.
So I guess it's not the first time that we've heard Mr. Vincennes express his thoughts about the need for the 2 meetings a month. How do we reach some agreement with him that he's not somehow thinking that we're losing something if we don't have 2 meetings a month, but still continue? Because even after 6 months, I mean, I was going to ask, so what'll change then in 6 months' time? I mean, we'll still have the same obligations for your time if you've got a lot of other things to do. How will you manage with 2 meetings a month in July? If there's not enough time for you to do it between January and June.
Right. It's going to take some getting used to. I've spent the last Friday and today, and hopefully I'll have it finished tomorrow on a sheet that lays out my whole entire calendar year as far as when things are due, when the agenda packets are due, when complete applications have to be submitted in by, when those TRC date meetings are scheduled, when everything is presented to staff, everything is about 45 days out. If you get into my expertise in the past and my experience, I come out of one planning board meeting, go right into, I'm already behind the 8 ball as far as setting a staff report and agenda and advertising for the following meeting. So I'm just trying to, in my expertise and experience, I'm just trying to make sure I keep up with that and try to do day-to-day operations as well.
Well,
And we see that one meeting a month will be a much more productive meeting than them meeting, tossing around ideas, throwing it on an agenda item list, and then walking away and waiting for the information to be provided. If we can tackle one meeting a month, we will be bringing things that are action ready for them to approve to move forward. And then when they put on their items on the future agenda item list, when they are ready to put forth their recommendation to the rest of the planning board members, then that will also expedite that process, because that documentation will go into a packet. It'll be viewed by the planning board members a week in advance. And then when they walk into that meeting, they are all ready to to hear the recommendation from the member, make recommendations for it to either, yes, this is great, let's take action and move it forward through the council, or can we look at X, Y, and Z, and that member goes back and researches additional, and when they're ready to move forward. The best example I can give you with this is Councilman Phillips and the airboats. He brought it up the first time. You all agreed that you would consider it. And then he went back and did his homework and found documentation from other municipalities, other states. And then when he was ready, said to us, staff, I'm ready for this to be on the agenda. He provided us the documentation. We put it in. You all had time to review it, research it on your own. And then when we got to that meeting, you were ready to send it to Grady for it to be legal eased. And at the next meeting, you adopted it. That's what we're trying to do with one meeting a month. We're trying to expedite their agendas in an orderly fashion that moves things through them and you all in a more controlled environment.
Mr. Mayor.
But we will do what you want us to do.
Go ahead. Mr. Court, Mr. Nairn.
I think we ought to give this a try. See how it works, especially streamlining the meetings, planning board meetings. We do have to give Chad a chance, but I say give him a chance with the knowledge that we're going to hold his feet to the fire. And, expect this to move along as planned. Do you want to entertain a vote?
I'd like to just make a comment before we
Go
go.
ahead, sir.
Sort of in the process of giving it a chance and see how it works. I'd like to put on our disposition of directives that on the 16th of March, our second meeting, the morning meeting, Chad would come back and give us an update on how the revised procedures are going inside the planning board and how that's working. And based on 3 months of experience at that time, his justification and explanation of why he wants to continue with 1 month meetings as a way to hold his feet to the fire.
I tend to agree with Mr. Corbett. Go through my trial period, see how we go, and we can readdress it then. If everything was smoothly. And again, take into consideration the input we've gotten tonight, these new ideas, as well as the information from the planning board chair. Will said one other thing. No matter what Lisa does, she does an exceptional job. So she's recommending this. That's almost enough for me to say yes. I I'll go for the 3 months with the understanding that we can extend it to 6 if need be.
Do we need a motion for this?
Yes, because you are approving the, this,
Schedule change.
the schedule. So do you want me to fill in, the April, May, and June, or are you comfortable enough leaving them blank for right now? And when we get to March, if you do want to bring those meetings back into play, we just adopt this calendar again with those dates in it.
I'm comfortable with waiting until a March report.
Yep.
Okay, then awesome.
Then we can add dates in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just need a motion.
So the motion basically will be now to go ahead and leave it open for 6 months. With you coming back in the March meeting, the second meeting in March, which I think you said is the 16th.
Yep.
And we will readdress it, and if it needs to be addressed then, we will change it then and amend it, correct?
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
Yes. I move that we approve the revised 2021 meeting calendar, to reduce the number of planning board meetings to 1 until March 17th,
16.
16th, 2021, where we will revisit this.
1 per month.
What did I say?
But on
One
paper,
meeting
it will
per
stay
month.
open through June at right now, and then when
Yeah.
we revisit, we can go back and amend
Yeah.
it then if we do. So basically, what has been presented by Mrs. England and Mr. my new man,
Stradumsky.
Mr. Chad.
Mr. Chad, that will be addressed at that meeting, and if we see to take change then we can at that. So that's what the motion will be. You have the motion? Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Moving on next. Don't go far, Miss England. Next up is our discussion, action, ERC appointments, term limits, and the guidance. Miss England, this is for you again, ma'am.
Okay. The ERC is another committee that Chad will work very closely with in addition to the stormwater manager. When we filled the positions at the last meeting, you moved the chairman of the ERC to the planning board, the planning board member back to the ERC, and then we've had one resignation since their meeting. There's a little bit of upheaval in the ERC. Also, when we appointed those members, we neglected to establish their terms. If you'll remember, this ERC was recently reappointed, and you did the 2-year, 1 year to get the staggering going. So we just need to make the announcement that these will be 2-year terms for the ones that you just appointed. And then the ERC needs some guidance. They're looking at Tree City application, Tree City USA application, rain gardens, the resiliency program, which is another mandate that is coming down from Raleigh that has to be implemented by all municipalities. And then to request that the chairman, whoever it be, when they go through their meeting this month, come and give you all a report of what they're looking at, because you all didn't provide funding for the ERC or any of the projects that they would be looking to do. So now that they're getting down to the point of where they're maybe ready for a rain garden project to get off the ground, the resiliency program, that application for funding has to be completed, and Chad and I are just now starting to look at what that actually looks like. That deadline's January 15th. I'm not real sure what the deadline is for the Tree City USA application, but I'm sure that it is coming up quickly as well. So I've made 3 recommendations on the second page of this, basically to approve me advertising for the vacancy that has occurred than to approve that all of the ERC positions are for 2-year terms. And that if somebody is filling an unexpired term, like with the vacancy that they just had, those terms will start from the day you appoint them and move forward.
As a 2-year term.
As 2-year term. With the planning board, it stays on target with whatever those expiration dates are. So if a planning board member resigns or whatever, and their term doesn't expire until August of 21, the person that you appoint is only going to go through August of 21. With the committee, it's a little different. You have a little more leeway that you can say, we've appointed you in January, and you're going to go for 2 years. Instead of you're filling a position that's going to become vacant in August, so you're going to be here for 6 months, and then you're going to have to do all this again. So those are the 3 things that I'm needing from you all. Oh, and the third thing is the priorities and the guidelines for what you want the ERC to be looking at, or how you want them to come to you to ask for funding.
So, do you want those one at a time,
All
or
3 of them's different
trying to
motions.
loop them?
Different motions, different seconds.
Yeah, probably.
You could.
Probably simpler that way.
One at a time.
Yeah. So first up would be an approval for advertising the vacant ERC position. If I'm not mistaken, Lisa, that was from where somebody had resigned or something, is that correct? Okay. So in regards to this, do I have a motion of approval advertising the ERC position?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion within it? Nope. Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to the second one, approve all ERC positions should be a 2-year terms, and that any new appointments filling an incomplete term should also be a 2-year term, starting at the end date of this appointment. If I'm not mistaken on this, Miss England, Mr. Larkin and Mr. Eggers that just got on, that will be putting them in for direct 2 years, and the 3 other ones, is that correct, that are on there now, have fulfilled a year, so they basically have another year. And that way it pretty much staggers it to fit in with the council, the 3-2, 3-2. Okay. In regards to that, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then the third one, we have the approve the priorities and guidance for the ERC, which in regards goes to what Mrs. England reached out about. Specifically right now, the tree city applications, the rain guarding, and the North Carolina Regency program. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? Not all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Ms. England, again, thank you. Oh, goodness, you get to come back. Moving on now to the new business. Very important woman over there. Planning Board UDO Amendment Recommendation 160D. Ms. England, you have the
This
floor.
is the last time I'm saving you. I didn't make Chad come up and do this one because it's pretty simple. The planning board has recommended, they have gone through 160D, numerous meetings that they have been through, and Wes has been with them the whole time. They are recommending various amendments through all the articles. I provided all of you all with the 200-plus page document that entails, which of course is going to need a lot of review by you all. So we are recommending that you accept the planning board recommendation, that you add Mr. Wes McLeod to the December 15th, 2020 agenda for the council to review and discuss these amendments with him in detail, and for you to schedule a public hearing for February 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. to hear comments regarding the proposed amendments.
Just to be clear, we're not approving the UDO.
You are not.
In the changes, just approving Wes explaining them to us.
Right, you are accepting the planning board's recommendation that you approve the amendments that they've proposed. Wes is coming to help you all understand all of the legalities that have come through with 160D, which is of course mandated by the state of North Carolina, and then to schedule the public hearing for February.
Okay.
We
I'm
thought
going to be difficult here. You're asking us to approve all the amendments that were made in the 200-page document.
No.
You said to accept.
I'm asking you to accept the planning board's recommendation. The planning board recommended that you approve or look at approving all these things that they have gone through. Now it's your turn
Okay.
to go through with Wes and look at everything that they're recommending that you amend.
So we can accept or deny at the next meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That's,
In
But
regards,
these are mandated by the state.
They are. 160D is mandated by the state.
Right.
I think that the local municipalities have some room to work within.
Yeah, what Wes did was look through our UDO and made sure that every page in our UDO document is 160D compliant. Because what they're doing is they're taking General Statute 153A and 160, because the county is 153, local municipalities, cities, towns are 160, and merging that all into one general statute. So the next meeting, Wes will be here to present that, and then at the February meeting, you will accept or deny those text amendment changes.
after the public hearing?
After the public hearing.
After the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
so in regards to that, the three things that are listed here, the planning board recommendation of the UDO, Mr. McLeod being here on Mr. McLeod being here on December the 15th to discuss it with the council, and also in regards to the public hearing for the February 1st, 2020 meeting at 7 p.m. On this case, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. No opposed? All right. Next up, be consideration of approval to retrofit the bathroom units. Mr. Dustin Graham, our public works guy.
Just let you know also that if you want to come out tomorrow, we'll be installing the new bathroom, setting it up tomorrow, probably around midday. There are a few more tweaks I got to do in the morning to get it ready to go in, but by midday it'll be slid into the hole.
And then there will be one or two bathrooms out
Be
there?
one at the, just be one at the gazebo. The other one, I've got to do some serious, some maintenance to it before it can go back out. What this here was, I was out on vacation, and so Tara contacted the company here that we bought the Comfort of Homes, where we bought the trailers from. And what that is, we can go back to them and get the petitions that separates the stalls, the light fixtures, toilets, anything like that that was in them bathrooms, we can go back and get it for roughly about $15,000, and we can go in there with all new stuff.
That would basically be rebuilding the facility, just
Basically
like a
rebuild-
brand new one.
just like a
Having the
brand new one.
frame we got and refitting them
Yes.
instead of buying.
As opposed to buying a new one?
Buying a new one, yes, we can re-retro the old ones and make them look like new.
And that'll give us, go ahead, sorry.
What's the cost of a new one?
A new one, we just paid $55,000 for that new one.
I'm sorry,
$55,000,
55?
yes, for that new one we got.
So we saved 40,000 on each one, rather than
Yeah,
replacing them?
doors, yeah.
Yeah.
So aside from the fixtures and the walls and things, I mean, there's the rest of the chassis and everything. Is all that stuff in good enough shape that we can expect, once we retrofit all the inside, that the outside's gonna last?
Yeah, we go up underneath the bottom of it, we scrape, we go in there, we repaint it, we undercoat it every winter. When I bring them off, I go through it and protect it best I can from the elements out there that we deal with.
Yep.
To prolong the life of them.
Okay, so you think that if
Yeah,
we do the renovation, we have a good
Yes, and
5-10 years?
And plus we can switch them out with that because I'm looking at coming into back to y'all at budget time this coming year and see about buying another new one. So we can switch them out. So We're not sitting over there all the time, so we can switch them out every 3 months, every 4 months, and keep them rolling the rotation schedule like that, so they're not sitting in the environment constantly out there like they are now. Sitting out every 6 months, or when I pull them out through the summertime, we can rotate them in and out, so they don't get so much wear.
Hopefully it'll make them last for a while, so we won't have
Yes.
to come back by 2 more in the next few years.
Right.
Where do you keep it?
Well, right now I'm keeping them at the shop. The old one and the other one that's the Main Street is sitting in the shop right now.
Okay.
But we're looking at, with the purchase y'all did at Station 2 out there where the 4 acres was, develop that and use that for storage and move them out there.
Okay.
All right. If I have any more questions, go ahead, sir.
I move that we authorize Dustin Graham, Public Works Director, to proceed with the restoration for both 2012 units not to exceed a total cost of $30,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Go home. Next up is our disposition of directives, our December the 15th, 2020 meeting. For the things we have on, if I'm not wrong tonight, we're looking at putting Chad to revise the planning board on the agenda on the 3/16 meeting. On 12/15, Mr. Wes McLeod will be here to discuss the UDO with council. And the February 1st meeting is where we're looking at putting the public hearing on. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there anything else that the council would like to add? Anyone have anything that they know of at this time?
I didn't quite catch everything you put on
Yeah.
there.
All right.
Did you put the,
I put Chad to revise us at the 3/16, the second meeting in March, which you
Okay.
requested.
good, good.
The 12/15 is what Mr. McLeod, which Mrs. England brought out to be here to discuss the UDO with the council. And the 2/1 is when the public hearing will be coming up
All right,
in
got
regards
that.
to it. So that's the 3 that we mentioned during our talk.
Okay.
Anyone have anything else?
I just have a suggestion that the item we have, number 2, information about developing a form-based code. I think right now we're kind of overcome by events, especially since this was Todd's proposal and idea, and nobody else seemed to understand or know what it was. I just suggest we drop that for the time being unless somebody has a reason to come back with it.
I think based on what we've heard about how the zoning regulations change and things like that, it's probably good to listen to Wes first, because that may have nullified Todd's perspective to some degree on that.
On the form-based?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, was Wes actually taking that as a task yet? Because that would be after he departs here.
Wes and Chad both have voiced disagreement with form-based code for us, and would be able to tell you their reasonings why.
So they're in agreement that they disagree?
They're
with-
they're in agreement that we do not need a form-based code. So deleting that is just going to take one thing off of your directives. I actually went ahead and removed it from the planning board's directives, because this council did not direct the planning board to look at form-based code. You all directed Todd to bring you additional information. So that information went to the planning board incorrectly. So I've removed it from them already, so if you remove it, that will be great. And then the economic developer position, Chad has got some great ideas with how we can obtain this objective without having to fund a full-time permanent position. So if you will give him a little bit of time, leave this on here, and just give him a little bit of time to, another learning curve for him is the multiple softwares that we have that no one else is using right now. I have to teach him those as well. And then he'll be able to provide you with staff reports of why and the things that he can do to help us with our economic development situation without having to hire somebody.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Did we, and again, it's late, I'm tired. Did we set a date for the ERC to come back and give us reports initial reports? I mean, what I would think is the ERC convenes itself, decides who their chairman is, has a discussion what the projects are, and answers some key questions. Do we need to do something quickly on Tree City? We had an application given to us a year ago to look at. And then what needs to happen with the tree farm or the rain garden out here, as well as just a report back to us of what their priorities are going to be, what they're going to work on. Not that they've accomplished anything.
Right. When Chad meets with them, which is 18, I think.
16th.
16. He is trying to get a handle on where they are with all three of those projects. And then at that point for your, maybe your December 15th? No, because they'll meet after
Actually, the
that.
January meeting, maybe he could touch
It'll be
base
the-
on that. and
it'll
let us know
January
where
would be a
they're at.
good time to touch
Right, it'll
base.
be the January meeting where he'll be able to come to you, because if we're up against January deadlines, staff is gonna have to pull it, and we're gonna have to complete it.
Yeah.
John Michaud is working with them with the rain garden, so he'll be able to help them to come up with a report to give you all, to look at where they're looking at putting a rain garden, how much it's gonna cost, what the benefits are gonna be, and then to get you all to agree to fund it. And then Tara, of course, would bring a budget amendment back. at
Did I
that
hear
point.
right on that when we were discussing that a while ago? They mentioned something about one of those permits maybe was due in January around the 15th or so?
Yes.
So that
Yes,
would be
the
something that we could definitely
resiliency-
look in. So basically, we could put that into disposition for that January 1st meeting, whatever day it's on, to make sure that everything gets covered and he has a chance to look at it and meet with his ERC.
Yep.
Then we can get if nothing else, we can get a report from him on it. So let's add that to what is the date on that one, Lisa?
It's January 4th.
4th. And that will be considering the ERC things. Does anyone have anything else? All right, let's see if we got anybody that would like to speak on the public comments for at the end. All right, since there's nothing else, if anybody has nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.